I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Makuhita. In the first two generations of Pokemon games, the fighting type represented quite vague ideas. Machamp was all muscles, Primeape was bestial aggression, and Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee represented punching and kicking techniques respectively. In the second generation, Tyrogue tied that family up, and Hitmontop was a fun little capoeira monster. But it wasn't until the third generation that we started seeing new fighting type Pokemon represent specific martial arts and fighting styles. And this is the model that subsequent generations would follow when they brought in new fighting type Pokemon. First up, we have a Pokemon family representing Sumo, a prestigious form of wrestling competition which has been culturally and spiritually significant in Japan for almost a millennium, since the emperors still actively ruled the country from Kyoto. Makuhita is an apprentice sumo wrestler, a chunky little yellow fella who looks adorable and childlike. Its hands appeared to have boxing gloves, its two-toed feet resemble the traditional sandals a sumo wears, and it even seems to be wearing a childlike bib. Makuhita's head is topped with a knot, somewhat like the samurai top-knot haircut which real sumo wear, but which overall gives him the appearance of being a little cloth bag tied up at the top. This will make a little more sense when it evolves, but for now it brings to mind a little punching bag. Pokemon Ruby leans into this punching bag motif, telling us, Makuhita is tenacious. It would keep getting up and attacking its foe, however many times it is knocked down. Every time it gets back up, this Pokemon stores more energy in its body for evolving. But most of the other Pokedex entries just read like they're talking about a real sumo wrestler apprentice training. Pokemon Sapphire tells us, Makuhita has a tireless spirit. It will never give up hope. It eats a lot of food, gets plenty of sleep, and it trains very rigorously. By living that way, this Pokemon packs its body with energy. Pokemon Emerald tells us, it loves to toughen up its body above all else. If you hear quaking rumbles in a cave, it is the sound of Makuhita undertaking strenuous training. Lastly, Fire Red and Leaf Green told us, it grows stronger by enduring harsh training. It is a gutsy Pokemon that can withstand any attack. Makuhita endures grueling training, much like a real apprentice sumo. Makushita is the term for a rank of sumo wrestler. At one time, the last rank before the top-tier competition, so Makuhita is far from a newbie. The Japanese name is Makunoshita, combining Makushita with Makusho, a type of sumo technique. All of Makuhita's training pays off when, at level 24, it evolves into Hariyama. Hariyama is the very image of a real sumotori or rikishi, large and in charge, with a permanently frowning expression, wide stance, and the hanging tassels familiar to a sumo wrestler's traditional garb. Hariyama's Pokédex entries lean hard into making it a powerful anime sumo wrestler, referencing its size and strength, the classic open palm strikes like those of E Honda in Street Fighter. This Pokemon is the arm thrust Pokemon after all and does learn that move, and stomping on the ground in a manner similar to the Shiko ritual which is performed before a sumo match. Pokemon Ruby tells us, Hariyama practices its straight arm slaps in any number of locations. One hit of this Pokemon's powerful open-handed straight arm punches could snap a telephone pole in two. Pokemon Sapphire tells us, Hariyama's thick body may appear fat, but it is actually a hunk of solid muscle. By the by, that's what I tell the ladies. If this Pokemon bears down and tightens all its muscles, its body becomes as hard as rock. Pokemon Emerald has. It has the habit of challenging others without hesitation to tests of strength. It's been known to stand on train tracks and stop trains using forearm thrusts. And lastly, Pokemon Fire Red told us, it stomps on the ground to build power. It can send a 10-ton truck flying with a straight arm punch. Later Pokédex entries, however, move away from the pure strength and talk about the more spiritual and thoughtful side of Sumo. Pokemon Sun told us, "It is known for its fantastic strength, but as it grows older, it focuses more on training Makuhita." And Pokemon Ultra Sun tells us, "Although they enjoy comparing their strength, they are also kind. They value etiquette, praising opponents they battle." Hariyama's name is an interesting one. The suffix yama is used in the names of mountains, and is traditionally used in the names given to successful Rikishi. The Hari part of the name could come from Harite, to open hand strike, Hariao, to compete, or Haritalsu, to knock down. Whichever way, the combination Hariyama makes sense for a sumo Pokemon. However, a Hariyama is a thing in Japan, a type of pincushion. With the round pincushion body of fabric patches sewn together, and a little head at the top, the proportions are clearly very sumo. Makuhita and Hariyama are those pincushions brought to life, explaining why Makuhita appears to be a simple fabric doll tied in a knot at the top, and why Hariyama's design is made of a patchwork of differently coloured geometric shapes. Sumo is an aspect of Japanese culture which I'm not overly familiar with. Perhaps after the pandemic I'll try to make it to some games, but for now I have these stuffed little monsters to educate me. Music for Luke Loves Pokemon was composed by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. Writing, editing and producing is all by me, Luke Summerhays, and costs are covered by my lovely supporters on Patreon. If you like this podcast, please rate and review on whatever podcast app you're listening through, and please tell your Pokemon-loving friends. The podcast can be found on Twitter and Facebook at LukeLovesPKMN, so why not get in touch? The next two monsters coming up are Nosepass and Skitty, so please get in touch with your thoughts on those or any other monsters. Lastly, as I mentioned, this podcast is supported by Patreon. If you want to listen to episodes early, say thanks to me, and help keep the shows hosted online, visit patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. And if you have an idea for something I could offer that would make you interested in signing up, Twitch streams, Q&As, videos, or content on wider topics, please let me know. And even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Makuhita, and remember, I love you too.